Where is this at? What's going on?
I always like to bring it overseas. We're still talking about activism and protests. And guess what? The Yellow Vest movement is still a thing. It's coming up on its anniversary. People are still out in the streets. Healthcare workers in particular are complaining of burnout as well. So this particular person in Bordeaux, Christine, who is 48, says, some don't want to wear the yellow vest anymore because of being targeted by the police, but we're organizing meetings, mobilizing citizens, and we've still got public support. We've created a new sense of solidarity in France that won't go away. So we're maybe not seeing as visibly the yellow vests themselves, is what she's saying, but the protests still seem to be going strong. So police tactics towards the demonstrators have come under scrutiny. About 2,500 demonstrators have been wounded by the protests since last year. So a poll was done. Oh, real quick though, it looks like we have a super chat.
Fiat Lam, come on guys, I want to know more about democracy dollar. This was one of the Andrew Yang policy that caught my attention. And then $5 also super chat from Professor Anthrax. And Professor Anthrax, you asked me if I served in the Army. No, I served in the Marine Corps. So that's where I was at. So I guess you want to know about the democracy.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do a deep dive on that in another episode.
Perhaps something exclusive for our Patreon supporters.
No, I think that that's...
We'll
talk about it at some point. We like it. Let's just say right now we like it.
Yeah. All right, so Paul, take it away.
A public policy poll in France found that 69% of the French people felt that ongoing Yellow Vest movement was justified. Jean-Luc Paguin, who will protest all weekend this weekend, lives in social housing estate in northern Bordeaux, and was furious with Macron's plans to allow more social homes to be sold off. He said, quote, "In nearby forest, you see more and more people sleeping rough in tents. It's in a rich society, that's not normal. That's why we have to keep speaking out." So this is the type of protest that is really erupting all over the world. So in some ways, in a reaction to, I think, some mass public outcry a few years ago that was sort of going in a more nationalist direction. I think now we are seeing a lot of protest in this direction, which again, I will point out that I feel is woefully undercovered elsewhere in the press. So I always want to call attention to it. This has been going on a year strong now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out in regards towards the people demanding action from the French government. I think we here in the United States should be taking notes, because when they step up, especially when in regards to seeing the protests, and when the French people step up, they get things done. And I think we here in the United States need to follow that example. But I know the story is going to be continuing to develop, so there's a lot more. So this isn't just the end, it's only beginning, but we're getting close, getting short on time. So Daniel, what's the final word on this story?
Well, I just wish that Americans had the fighting spirit the French did, but that might be because Americans can't take off a day of work without
we're working
being
2
fired.
or 3 jobs. Yeah.
So at least in France, they have a fighting chance, and they have the ability to have these disagreements, shall we say, and run with them. And I wish that I always get the sense in France that, it's not, maybe, they always may not show it, but I feel like in France, the politicians generally have a fear of the populace, whereas in America, not so much.
Yeah.